I'd walk a mile.
I'd walk a mile.
I'd walk a mile.
I'd walk a mile.
Well, I don't know about all that walking, but
Walk like a camel. Walk like a camel. You can ride like a camel. When you walk like a camel.
camels were first domesticated over 4,000 years ago in Southwest Asia and have been humping to please mankind ever since. Their first known ancestor was Protylopus, which was the size of a large rabbit and lived around South Dakota about 40 million years ago. Predecessors such as the mastodon were still around as recently as 50,000 years ago, but the majority migrated from North America to Asia via the Bering Land Bridge, which once united the two continents. Today, there are three distinct species of true camels. The one-hump dromedary, also known as the Arabian camel, the two-hump domesticated Bactrian, and the similar but separate species, the wild Bactrian. The one-humpers make up 94% of the total population, estimated to be around 40 million. Most reside in Africa, and Somalia leads the world with around 6 million. The 6% of double-humped Bactrians are mostly found in Asia. The wild Bactrians live in the Gobi Desert, and with less than 1,000 left, they are critically endangered. During a period starting around 1840, over 10,000 Arabian camels were imported to Australia to haul supplies to the outback. When more modern transportation became available, they were released into the wild. With no predators, they found the environment extremely hospitable, and today the population of feral camels in Australia is over 1 million and doubling every 10 years. They eat crops and take a substantial toll on available water. Several $1 million a year is allocated to culling up to 10,000 animals, mostly shot from helicopters.
It's estimated there could be up to 1 million feral camels in Australia, and they are growing in number all the time.
Camels are very destructive to the natural environment. They trample delicate plants around waterholes. They foul waterholes with their droppings. They compete with our native species for food and water, and they could lead to declines in our native populations unless we act soon.
The three species are similar, but the dromedaries are somewhat larger and faster and primarily used for transportation. The stockier Bactrians, which can bear up to 900 pounds, are more often utilized as pack animals. The largest reach around 7 feet tall and weigh upwards of a ton. Camels reach sexual maturity by age 6 and are pregnant for about 14 months, giving birth usually to a single calf. Newborns are humpless and weigh about 100 pounds and begin walking within an hour. Average camel lifespan is about 45 years for the animal, about 6 minutes for the cigarette. They live in extreme desert conditions from -20 to 120 degrees and have developed more apps to survive than you could load on an iPhone. They beat the heat from nose to toes. Their nostrils are narrow slits which can close completely to shut out sand and retain moisture. Their two-toed feet have large flexible pads for walking on sand and protection from heat. With 3 sets of eyelids and 2 rows of lashes, it must take the ladies forever to put on their makeup. Their long legs keep them high above the sand, and they can sleep standing up, but a large callus plate on their undersides allows them to lay down comfortably, even on scorching sand. They have a unique ability to regulate their body temperature. They can cool down to 93 at night and then raise to 104 during the day. Such radical changes would be fatal to almost any other mammal. Their fur is genuine camel hair, and its double layer and light color serve as insulation and sun reflector. Even if they hung out at the oasis all day, these adaptations would be necessary just to survive the extreme temperatures. Camels are known as ships of the desert because they glide across the sand bearing passengers and cargo. But unlike boats that need lots of water, camels don't. They can survive over 2 weeks without any, and if there's any vegetation, including cactus and thorns, they can pretty much skip it altogether. Going without water is in their blood, literally. Camels are the only mammals to have oval-shaped red blood cells, whose geometry brings oxygen to otherwise hard-to-reach places. When dehydrated, their blood cells can also swell by 240%, retaining water, a feat fatal to most any other living creature. A sponge-like mucus in the nose traps moisture from each breath. They don't sweat until body temp reaches 106. Their urine becomes extremely thick and scarce, and their feces has no moisture and can go straight from fart to fire.
Picking up poop.
4.
For a fire. We can make a fire. If we find water, it's not going to be potable, so I want some compressed fuel.
There you go.
Here's a piece of camel poop, and it's just compressed cellulose and lignin, the main components of wood products. So essentially, it's like a fuel tablet. So the Bedouin used this all the time, and they'd fuel their fires up with this.
The humps are a rich source of moist fat and are not, of course, water storage tanks. As a camel burns energy in water, the hump is the first to go, shrinking to a fraction of its normal size and can sag to one side. A camel can lose up to 40% of its body weight, twice what would be fatal to most mammals, but recovers in minutes. In a chugging contest, it's no gamble to bet on the camel. They'll inhale up to 50 gallons of water in just 2 or 3 minutes, also fatal to any other land animal.
So after food they like to have water, yeah? So they can drink 120 liters of water in half an hour. They can live without water for several weeks, but when they find water and drink water, they can drink it for many liters, yeah?
They can be stubborn and contrary and are known for spitting, which they'll do for self-defense. But even then, they don't waste water. The foul-smelling expulsion is regurgitated food mixed with stomach acids.
Oh my!
Besides serving as beasts of burden for thousands of years, camels have been exploited in every imaginable way. As long as camels have been ridden, they've been milked. Low in fat and lactose and high in nutrition, it's a $1.3 billion market. Specially bred camels produce over 10 gallons a day, and it's also used for cheese and yogurt. Kenya is the leading producer with over 2,500 tons annually, selling for over $4 a gallon. There are 2 major dairies in the U.S., the largest with 200 head near Branson, Missouri. If you can milk it, you can eat it. And we do. About 3 million a year are butchered. And as you probably guessed, the hump is the most prized cut. Camel hair has been worn since biblical times. Valued for its texture and warmth, it's used in coats, sweaters, and rugs. Under the direction of Secretary of War Jefferson Davis, to aid in Western expansion, the U.S. Army began purchasing and importing camels in 1855. 2 years later, the Camel Corps had 75 stationed at Camp Verde, Texas, and private importers, expecting a boom in camel sales, had brought in several hundred more. The Civil War and completion of the Transcontinental Railroad put an end to the failed experiment. Most were auctioned off for circuses or food, but several were simply released and allowed to go feral. The last unconfirmed sighting of wild camels in Texas was in 1941. The long legs of dromedaries make them fast, with bursts up to 40 miles per hour. Racing them is a no-brainer. The Al Ula Cup, held in the Saudi desert, offers prize money of over $2 million. The Mongolian Camel 999 Festival of 2016 set a Guinness record with over 1,100 camels competing. Camels are specially bred for racing, and to stay at the top of their game, they train in water, treadmills, or sometimes both. If you lose money at the race, you might make it back at the wrestling match.
Camel wrestling is one of the oldest and most traditional of sports here in Turkey. It goes back 2,000 years. Now, the rules are very simple. Out in the wild, two males during mating season will fight for a female, and here it's exactly the same thing. As you can see, there's people surrounding them as well. The owners are in the ring, and if things get too dangerous, they can throw a rope around them.
An annual camel fair in Pushkar, India, is considered the largest such event in the world, drawing over 250,000 spectators celebrating all things camel. Besides earning big bucks for being fast, a damsel camel can retire solely on her good looks if she's pretty enough. Camel beauty pageants are routinely held, and winners can earn tens of thousands of dollars or be auctioned for millions. But ladies beware, they are now testing meticulously, and Botox users are out. It doesn't happen often enough to keep statistics, but there are scattered reports of camel-caused fatalities. It's usually trainers or handlers who accidentally get stomped. At the Tiger Truck stop in Florida, Gloria Lancaster was hospitalized when a camel sat on her. She was attempting to retrieve her unleashed dog who had entered its cage. She escaped when divine intervention inspired her to bite the animal's nuts. I wish I could make this stuff up.
These photos show Lancaster just minutes before she found herself being crushed underneath Jojo the camel, with only one way out.
But God will always make a way out where there's no way. And on my side of my face laid his testicles. I couldn't do anything with my arms. And I did, I'm not gonna lie, I bit them.
Other than a few rare mishaps, camels have integrated quite nicely into human society. We've mounted them and used them for war for thousands of years. In 1913, when the R.J. Reynolds Company began blending Turkish tobacco with American leaves, a camel was featured on the pack. In 1988, they officially gave him a name and launched an advertising campaign that eventually led to Joe Camel becoming more recognized to children than Mickey Mouse. A $368 million settlement from RJ and other tobacco companies in 1997 for encouraging kids to smoke was the nail in Joe's coffin. Famous real camels include Topsy, one of the original camels from the 1860 U.S. Camel Corps, who was euthanized in 1937 at the age of 81. She was a fan favorite, even appearing in early Fox film desert romances. Kuznechik was a loyal Soviet soldier in the 308th Rifle Division during World War II. He carried food, water, and cooking utensils, accompanying the Red Army all the way to Berlin. He's rumored to have spat on the steps of the Reichstag and later died in the line of duty. He received 3 stripes for wounds and the Stalingrad Medal of Defense. Unconfirmed sources report Arnan, a racing camel, sold for over $53 million and earned the title of most expensive living animal. If you speak Pakistani, maybe you can confirm it.
अर्नून का नाम गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड में भी दर्ज कर लिया गया है। अर्नून को दुनिया
For 60 years until their bankruptcy, you'd spot a Campbell's Express truck on every road trip you took. If you're from North Carolina, you may root for the Fighting Camels of Campbell. Try saying that 3 times fast. He might just make it if it wasn't for that darn hump. Every Hollywood movie with a chic had a camel, but several are standouts. Even before talkies, Valentino was co-starring with camels. They've never been filmed more breathtakingly than in Lawrence of Arabia. Talk about barbaric. Conan punched one out. Because camels don't have the memory of elephants, the camel thought,
"I'll be back."
He was.
Doesn't that animal look familiar?
Same result, round 2. In Ishtar, Dustin Hoffman became a proud owner.
What are you doing with the camel?
Oh, that's a long story. It's one of the things I bought.
What do you mean?
Huh? Well,
you bought a camel?
Well, yeah. Well, no, I didn't actually buy them. They sold them to me. But
Sacha Baron Cohen found out riding a camel isn't all that easy in The Dictator. Well, I guess it's time to anchor this ship of the desert. I know it was a camel lot, but hopefully you enjoyed it once you got over the hump.
Everybody loves the camel song. Everybody loves the camel song. Everybody loves the camel song. What's wrong with you?